Hello, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Ann Vivian speaking. I am really excited to share this interview with you today with Kathleen Lowe. I want to invite you into this space, my friend. Your roots are in the earth, your branches are in the sky. We are multidimensional beings in the here and now, and in many places at one time. We are going to be exploring the earth realm today in today's interview. And like I said, I'm psyched to share this interview with you. It's with my friend and colleague, Kathleen Lowe, and she is the founder of a nonprofit business called Friends of the Forest. Isn't that a great name? She's someone I admire. I really admire the nonprofit that she's created. And I asked her to come on my podcast to share her insights about nature, spirituality, women's empowerment, and her own unique nonprofit business journey to success. So in this interview, you're going to find out about ways to connect with the earth, specific techniques to enhance your mindfulness practice in nature. You'll learn about forest bathing, which is in fact not getting naked in a pool in a forest, but no judgment if that's your thing. It's pretty cool. I'm very intrigued by her business and the kinds of programs she offered. I've actually offered and am offering some groups with Friends of the Forest. I'm really personally fascinated by people's path to success, spiritual and creative people's path to success. And I think Kathleen shares some really interesting insights about her process to manifest this successful earth-based, earth friend business and soulful business. And I learned a lot from this interview. I hope you do too. So let me tell you a little bit about Friends of the Forest. It's a 501. I said that really fast. Let me slow myself down. Friends of the Forest is a 501c3, or I said that right, nonprofit organization that provides nature-based wellness programs for women, and their offerings encourage harmony with nature, wellness of body, and peace of mind to help women cultivate a healing reconnection with their natural world. A little bit about Kathleen Lowe. Kathleen is a certified nature and forest therapy guide in the practice of Shinrin Yoku. And she has started Friends of the Forest as a way to offer meaningful, direct experiences in nature that inspire individuals to develop a connection with wildlife and the environment around us. I greatly admire the organization Kathleen has created and her path to manifesting it. As I've mentioned, I have facilitated a few groups with Friends of the Forest, including goddess dream circles and journaling groups. And I've been blessed to experience the magic of what Kathleen has created in this thriving organization. So sit back, relax into the flow of the forest in these fun conversations. And without further ado, please enjoy this interview with Kathleen Lowe, followed by tarot card reading for the week ahead. Enjoy.
Thank you, Anne. I'm so excited. This is my first podcast for Friends of the Forest, so I'm very excited.
Oh, I'm honored that this is the first one, the first of many.
Yeah, thank you.
Kathleen, I admire so much about what you have created with this organization. I would love for you to tell our audience, those tuning in today, how did you come up with the idea? How did it unfold for you to create this nonprofit, Friends of the Forest?
It's a good question. So it's a long road, but I'll make it like a short exit. I've always been drawn to nature, even as a little girl. Like I would rather be out in nature in the garden with my father than, in the house doing something with my mom at the time. And I, after, living in cities and the career and the go, 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 I always found that when I needed to, release stress, I would head into nature. Even small parts of nature that I could find. And then, eventually I was working remotely and I moved back to Connecticut. And I think it was it was either right before COVID, because COVID has everything like wacky in my head. There's just COVID before and after COVID. And
Right.
I saw something and I went on a forest bathing walk and I didn't know what it was. And I read about it and I thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. I'm going to do this. And I did this walk and I thought, I want to do that. That is what I want to do. And so during COVID, the good thing that came out of COVID for me was I was able to take online classes at the Kripalu in Western Mass because it was online. I didn't have to take off time and, spend 2 weeks learning this program. So I did that. And in the back of my head, I believe in the work of nonprofits. I work for nonprofits. That's sort of been my career journey. And I knew that what I wanted to do would revolve around a nonprofit and giving back. And then the pieces literally just fell together. They just all came together. And, I think what's important is sometimes when we start out and we think it's going to be this, if you're open, other things came in and it kind of, more women started coming to walks that I was doing and express this need to just be in nature and experience it differently and having community together. And little by little, Friends of the Forest organically became what it is today. Teach like yourself. I've met amazing women with beautiful gifts that reached out to me and said, this is what I do. I love your mission. Can we collaborate? Can we do things together? And that is how everything has just kind of bubbled up in this slow cooker to become this beautiful organization that truly helps women have a healing reconnection with nature, meet like-minded women. We call it, exploring, having a little earth magic, tuning into the magic of the earth. And finding our roots again. I believe that from the beginning of time, women, we were always in community. We were healers. We were the wise women. And, through history, that's been tampered down. And so this is an opportunity to just walk out your front door, come to a Friends of the Forest event, meet like-minded women, and experience nature. And what arises in that. So that's how it all and it happened. I'll say it happened really quick. We founded in June of 2021, but it wasn't until February of 2022 when I had our first walk. And so now, we're not that far into our journey, and we've worked with over 1,000 women who have come through to one of our offerings. So I am so grateful for people like yourself and all the other amazing teachers and guides that work with us. That is how we are sitting here right now.
It's earth magic. It's
It is. It
nature
is.
magic. It's beautiful. I should probably mention, I do some work with Kathleen, and she has this amazing program that I'm so inspired by. And I actually facilitate a few groups with Friends of the Forest, some dream groups. And this year I'm really excited to facilitate more goddess dream circles and a journaling group and an intuitive art group. So excited for continuing to participate in the earth magic. I love your description, Kathleen. And by the way, I personally recommend Friends of the Forest, having participated with Kathleen in this program. I think she has amazing programs. If you're in the Connecticut area, visit her website. We'll go more into that at the end of the podcast, but I'll go ahead and drop it. friendsoftheforestct.org, and check out her amazing programs. Not just mine, but there's so many just magical groups that she and the other facilitators offer. I love your description, Kathleen, of the process for co-creating this special nonprofit organization. It started with a vision and a mission and alignment with this desire and alignment with something from your inner being. And the will for it came out so strongly during COVID. And by the way, I started my podcast, well, the origin of it and my YouTube channel at the beginning of COVID. So COVID magic, pandemic magic. I didn't mean that dismissively, just sometimes jokes disperse difficult energy. But I love your description of how, Kathleen, it was this combination of clarifying this desire and stepping into your masculine, if you will, stepping into the yang energy, clarifying my goal, clarifying my vision, taking action to create this on the earth plane. I'm taking this class, this amazing class. I have the opportunity to take it. And then your yin, your feminine side, being open and receptive to, let's allow this to unfold. And maybe it even takes a direction I didn't initially see. I'm not going to be so rigidly, clinging to and attached to this vision. I can't allow it to grow and change and show me what it is. And it unfolded into a place of sacred, safe space for women and for women to connect with each other and nature and to explore the divine feminine and so many of its aspects. And I feel like that process the creative process is so fascinating to me. But that process that you described, it just, to me, it really paints a picture of you being connected with both parts of that consciousness, the yin and the yang, and look at the amazing success of your program that you have created by allowing both of these parts to speak to you and to dance with them. I love it.
I like that, to dance with that. Well, it's that is what happened. I mean, quite honestly, I love wildlife, and I became a wildlife rehabilitator. And I thought, to be honest, that's why it's called Friends of the Forest. My goal was, I want to do wildlife rehab. But every step I took in that direction, I was faced with a hurdle. And I am definitely a person that I'll jump the hurdles. But sometimes there's a time in your life where you think there's a reason this is happening, and it shouldn't be this difficult. And so force bathing entered. And then all of these, as soon as that happened, as soon as I did that, and as soon as I thought there's something here and I want to walk down, I'm curious about this. Curiosity, I think, is so important for everybody, right? And that, when I let go of what I thought I wanted this to be, is when everything started coming into alignment. And that's where it really wasn't about, I want to create a nonprofit that helps serve women. This has organically shifted, and we changed things around and we tweaked the mission a little bit. And that's the beauty of it, right? Because life changes, right? We don't live in a static environment. Every time we walk out the door, we don't know what's going to happen. And I think I'll hold the vision. I'll keep moving things forward, but I will be open to new people, new ideas, and not rigidly holding on to what I think it should be. And when I let go of that is when all of these beautiful things started happening. I was sort of active listening around me. So here we are, with doing these, offerings that are in nature, and some are, we're doing a lot with crafts, with weaving and painting, that you're going to be coming in and helping us do an amazing workshop, hopefully outside and the weather's nice. And realizing like, we're so inspired by nature, right? And I think we kind of tune ourselves out a little bit to that. And then there are all these different ways to explore our creativity that maybe we've shut down in ourselves for all types of reasons. And so when we have these workshops, and we always do a closing circle and a share circle and a tea, and time and time and time again, you see it in faces of, I didn't think I could do this. I didn't know this sounded interesting and I signed up, but oh God, I don't know. I don't feel secure enough in myself. By the end of the program, whether it's a dream circle with you, an art class, a nature walk, a fireside, one of our fireside drumming circles or whatever we're doing, you hear women say, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud that I came. I'm so proud that I created this piece of art. And to me, I'm honored to hold that space. I'm honored to hold that space and let women have that spark of joy again. We carry a lot on our shoulders, and COVID was tough. We see that, we hear that a lot in circle of, there's people who lost loved ones. There's people who have their own, struggled with COVID. And the fact that women can come together, share an experience, and feel secure enough to be in a sacred held space in nature to share with a group of strangers how they're feeling and what they need it's beautiful. It's just the most beautiful. I am humbled and honored to create these programs with you, with our other teachers. We
And
call
we
it,
do.
go ahead.
No, it's so beautiful. I didn't mean to cut you off. I love the description of the breadth and array of programs that Friends of the Forest offers and how it has evolved. And one of the things that I'm kind of sensing as you're talking, Kathleen, is how those different components all offer something really therapeutic. And we all need these components in our lives. The component of a safe space, the component of connecting with nature, the component of creativity, the component of the safe space, the emotional kind of psychic space you set up with your intention and how you have designed these programs. And I think it speaks to the healing that is taking place on this planet and how we desperately need to connect with the earth and our creativity and each other, and a way to connect with each other that is respectful and honoring each other and honoring ourselves. And I think that you do a really great job of being able to weave that together. And I feel like the Mother Earth is your business partner, and the animals on the earth are like your workforce. And I tried something there. That was a bad
No, but
metaphor.
I want to use that. My marketing mind is also like, Mother Earth is like my business partner. But it's true, because we call it weaving. I love the word weaving. I think that's so powerful, and it has so many, and it's very close to women from like the beginning of time. But like we call it weaving a connection between earth and body, and soul and soil. So it's that weaving of like getting in touch and developing this practice that we all have. Like we were all more in tune with earth. We've just walked away from all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I guess, is I don't know, labels kind of bother me, but so to protect the earth. And I think we've come through a period of time where we're used to screaming at each other, right? And we're really divided, and the loudest voice seems to like, we don't have a nice discourse. So if you want to protect something, you can't, in my opinion, you can't tell someone, this is why you should do this, you shouldn't do that, because as soon as that language comes into play, people shut down. I shut down. So
Yeah.
what I see and what is happening is, but if I can, or anyone can have an experience in nature and you can sit against a tree and listen to things differently and use all of your senses and really understand nature. And usually, not always, but I have seen there is the breakdown point where someone can just let go of things they've been holding on to, or maybe they just need that moment. Well, now you have a relationship with nature and you protect the things you love. So if we want to protect our natural world, we have to have a relationship with it. It's not enough to say to someone, you should be doing this practice and you should only be doing this and don't do that. But if you give someone a platform and say, come in and look at all these beautiful ways you can enjoy nature. So you can walk in nature. We can sit out and weave in nature. We can paint. We can do all of these things, whatever speaks to you. Now you have a relationship. And to me, that's the coolest thing about it is you will protect something that you love. And that's just my philosophy is the way forward is through creating those avenues for people to be sensitive to nature, to hear different birds and kind of visualize what they might be saying to each other. And that's what we do with, our forest bathing walks, is just really tuning into nature using your senses in a different way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Kathleen, would you describe for our audience tuning in, what is forest bathing?
So it's very interesting. So it's a wellness practice, and it was developed in the 80s in Japan. And it's been scientifically studied, right? So it's a guide, a mindfulness guide it's not like a stroll or a hike. It's actually the opposite of the hike. So it's not about getting to a destination, and it's also not about the miles you might walk. So a guide provides invitations to slow you down and experience and absorb all of nature through all of your senses. So it has nothing to do with water. So the term, as you had mentioned, is called Shinrin Yoku, and it literally translates taking in the forest, bathing in the atmosphere of the forest. So a guide, so we might be, and there's different invitations. And you learn a lot of things when you're in classes for things, but so it's part of a nature walk, it's part meditation. People bring journals, and an invitation could be, and you could do this in your own yard. Here's an invitation. As you're out and you're walking and you stop and you turn in one direction, so turn east and close your eyes, take deep breaths, and cup your hands behind your ears. We call it deer ears. And bring your attention to what you're hearing, but bring your attention, what's the sound that you hear the furthest sound away? Extend your hearing all the way out. And then little by little, you start bringing it in as you're moving your hearing in. Now, what are you hearing? Now, what are you hearing? Until what is the closest sound you can hear? And that could be, you could spend 10 minutes doing that. You could spend 3 minutes doing that, but it regulates your breathing and you don't even realize you're doing that. It helps, when you're breathing in nature, it's helping your immune system. It's lowering your stress levels, which I think everyone is at an all-time high. It lowers your blood pressure. So they actually, when they started this in Japan, they ran studies and they would test people's blood pressure. They would test all this before they went out on a walk, and then they would come back and then they would test it again. And they did it over and over, science. And then what they saw was a complete drop in a lot of these levels. And so that's kind of where this took off. And I think maybe during COVID, it heightened in popularity because we needed that for all of those reasons. So
yeah,
those are that's a little like snippet, but it's really that slowing down. I will say it's very challenging for someone who is an avid hiker, because it is the opposite of that. So it's
Yeah.
not about, right? It's not about getting through something. We walk so slowly. I mean, really slowly. And you are noticing every single tiny little thing around you. And it's beautiful. I personally have a hard time meditating, like sitting in a class. My mind goes so crazy that when I went on that forest bathing walk, I thought, wait, this is meditate. I can do this. This is meditation. I can do this. I feel good about this. But if I'm sitting, except for yours, because you do guided meditation. So the visual learner that I am is like, oh, I can do this. But I have been in meditation classes where it's slow your mind or empty your mind. And I think my mind is so filled with monkeys, like that's never going to happen.
It's not going to work for you.
It's not
Yeah.
going to work for me. But being out in nature in any sense is so therapeutic for me, and it just grounds me and makes me happy. And I just wanted to
Yeah.
share that.
It is
Um,
a type of meditation that you described. I work with so many clients who have trouble with meditation. And one of the first things we try is traditional meditation. And I tell folks, a lot of people are aiming way too high. Don't try and start with 15 minutes. Try and start with 2 minutes of mindfulness meditation where you're, just focusing on your breath or a candle or what have you, like more of transcendental type meditation. And if that isn't something that's resonating with the client, for some people, it's just not in harmony with how we're wired. And I love how you're sharing this example, Kathleen, because you're giving examples of what I share with so many folks I work with. If this doesn't work with you, that doesn't mean meditation isn't going to work for you. There's so many kinds of meditation, and forest bathing is a kind of mindfulness practice. So is active meditation is a more, excuse me, guided meditation is another form of what I would call maybe active meditation. But being present as you're walking and using these different prompts with like the deer ears, I love that. That's a form of meditation because you're practicing mindfulness. When you described that technique that you just offered the audience, those tuning in today, I felt so many cool things it offers, so many levels of healing and development. You're healing by connecting with Mother Nature. You're now engaging in a very deep way with your perception of the auditory perception of the natural sounds around you. Excuse me. You're also engaging in a deeper relationship with your own body, because now I'm really connecting with a sense. I'm connecting with my hearing. And usually we don't pay attention that much to our hearing. But if you really have a mindfulness moment where you are allowing yourself to be present, now I'm present with my body and my physical body and my own consciousness. Also, it's a wonderful way to develop your intuition. If you want to develop your intuition, one of the best ways to start is develop your senses. In other words, if you want to develop your ability to hear messages from spirit, pay attention to what you're hearing with your physical ears. If you're wanting to develop the ability to clairvoyance, to see, pay attention to what you're seeing more in a mindfulness observational way. So that cultivation of the observational mind, which that's part of what we cultivate when we practice mindfulness meditation. There's so many overlaps here. You're cultivating that observational mind, you're cultivating your intuition, you're cultivating a reconnection with your physical body in a positive way, which many humans, many women struggle with, many people around the world of all genders, and cultivating a relationship with the earth and with nature and with animals and plants, the flora and fauna. And I can see that relating to your mission, Kathleen. You're helping people to connect in a positive way with the earth and connect in a positive way with themselves and each other. And when we're able to observe and we're able to get into that place of observing and appreciating, that has massive effects on collective large levels. If we're able to listen to each other, observe instead of controlling or commanding or directing, then all of a sudden we're able to shift into a different kind of shared power. And I can see what you're doing is really part of this collective shift on the earth to really step into a feminine consciousness, not to negate the masculine, but to be able to integrate the feminine consciousness on, all of these levels. So yay. I hope
Yeah,
people are getting excited about your program and check out your website.
I
Everyone, you should.
it's so, it's, I mean, there is, they're usually like, I'll just say like a force bathing walk, and now we do them with like, Kundalini breathing. We do all kinds of things, but you kind of start, and these, they call them invitations because they don't resonate with everyone, and that's okay. But you go through all of those senses, right? And you look at, even just like textures. How many textures can you see right in front of you? And like you said, when you start, so you're using your vision, you're using your ears, you're using your sense of smell, sometimes your taste, right? We'll look at, different plants, and then at the end, sort of the end, as we start to kind of wrap up our time, we do a 20-minute sit spot where participants find a tree and they sit against the tree, and now they've, hopefully you're in a calm state, and you have your own, you take all of that now, and that's where a lot of people will journal. And then we come back and we always do a tea ceremony, and we sit in circle outside, and if you want to share, you can share. Our events are planned around the wheel of the year. So typically we're always talking about like what's happened seasonally, what are we celebrating, what's the shift. So they're, we're tied into that practice as well. And you take what you need. I mean, really quick, I had a woman on a walk, and usually we have one of our wonderful supporters has a 60-acre farm in East Haddam, and it's woods and it's meadows, and blessed to be out there. And we were walking around a meadow, and we're about to leave the meadow and head into the woods. And she said, I'm going to stay here. And we thought, of course, what speaks to you is what you need to do, because that's what you need to listen to. And at the end, when she came back to circle, and she said, I lost my brother about a year ago, and bluebirds visit me. And I feel very strongly that he had a connection with bluebirds. And she was explaining that. And she said, when we were walking in the field, all of the sudden, flocks of little bluebirds were surrounded her. And she felt that was her brother. And she said, I needed to sit there and be with that and watch that and think about that and journal about that. And I thought, that's so beautiful. And I'm so happy that you are able to recognize and say, I need to be here. I'll meet up with all of you. So it really is about finding peace in nature in a way that works for you. That's the beauty, I think, and the gifts that nature gives us if we tune in to that natural world.
Earth magic. And in that earth magic safe space,
yes,
this person was able to open up to a really comforting spiritual intuitive experience, partnering with nature, partnering with you, and partnering with divine source.
Yeah.
I think so many people, they connect with source through nature, and that's their avenue for being able to get to that space, where they can have just what are the words I'm looking for? It's almost like nature helps you to shift into a kind of consciousness and presence that allows you to connect with the higher consciousness, that allows you to connect with spirits and angels and source.
Yeah,
It's
because it's
powerful.
it's it's here, right? It's around us all the time. But you know, I also think there's so many distractions inside, and
Yeah.
so much that is natural. And when we can be out in nature and have quiet time and reflection and have conscious observation, things will come to you, right? Things will appear. And whether it's a sign or a gift or however one wants to interpret that, and only you know what that is, right? And only you know what something could mean for you. But it's beautiful if you're, sitting outside and, in the fall we did something with leaves and all the leaves were moving and changing and falling and it was so beautiful to listen and to observe and look at the colors and the sound and then other things came up for other, the same experience will mean 10 different things to 10 different women. And that's the beauty of that is, yes, that's here for you. This is all here for us. It's just tuning into that in a way that works for you. And that's what nature gives us. There's no rule that you have to see something this way or do something that way. This is what works for you, and it's different than what works for me. And that's just the beauty of that. Like you were saying, some people want to take their journal and write, and other people will doodle, and other people just want to sit and close their eyes and dream. All of those things in nature matter. That's so we try to offer beautiful experiences that someone might connect to coming to a dream circle, and someone else might say, you know what, I want to do the weaving class. I want to try that. And someone else will come to a walk with me. It's all good, right? We're all getting something beautiful from that. It's all happiness. So
And it all offers a way to slow down and connect with your creativity, connect with yourself, connect with each other, connect with the earth. I feel nature invites us to slow down, sometimes forces us to slow down. And I love that history of forest bathing, which is a misleading term. I think a lot of people do think it's going out into the forest naked and
they're freaked out.
bathing, which there's nothing wrong with that.
I know there's not, but I think like, are we naked? I'm like, well, no. I mean, I guess if you want to be, you could be. It's private land. But there is that hesitancy. And I have to say though, like with women too, this amazes me all the time, is people will come to our events from well over an hour away, we have, people from all corners of Connecticut and New York, and they come alone. And I think, we kid around a little bit about this, but I think I have to give you all so much credit because you get this ticket and then you get in your car, and most women come alone, and you're driving literally, into the middle of nowhere sometimes, right? Because we need to be 60 acres doesn't really happen like a downtown city. And you put so much faith and trust that everything's going to be okay. And then you meet like-minded women, you have a great experience. And I'm always thinking like, wow, this is just the coolest thing that we're able to meet all these women and have these great experiences together. It's
a testament to the programs you've created, that you have women who travel from that great distance. Now you're going to have a request for a nude forest bathing group.
I have some teachers who would love nothing more than that. Like, we need to do a retreat and, just go down to the water and just, take off our clothes and dance under the moonlight. And I'm like, well, you can lead that because I still, right?
I think you should do it. I think that should be the next group on the menu. And I totally support any nudists and forest nudists and literal forest bathers. I think that can be a beautiful thing. I know some people who are really, that's a sacred spiritual act for them to be naked in nature, to be nude, I guess is a better term, in nature. but it's funny because I think a lot of people don't understand what forest bathing is. So I'm so glad you clarified it. And I'm so tickled by the origins of forest bathing and how when it was founded in Japan, it really was founded, and correct me if I'm wrong, as a way to help people detoxify from an overly technology focused synthetic environment for their health and well-being, to connect with the earth and the natural environment for health and well-being. And that there's an understanding, dating back to the 80s, but predating the 80s, in ancient Greece, there were temples, healing temples that included such things as dream therapy, included such things as sound therapy, and ways to connect with nature. Because, and not just in ancient Greece, all over the world, our ancient ancestors understood the sacredness of a human's relationship with the earth. And I love how you're really living that, Kathleen. You're really manifesting that in this business and this nonprofit, and allowing people to experience a shift away from the damaging parts. There's some beautiful parts of technology, but shifting away from some of the really difficult, destructive, even toxic parts of modern life, and COVID, and our addictive relationship with technology, and our disconnection from our body and disconnection from each other and the earth, and helping to mend some of these disconnects, and do it in a really fun way too, with creativity and with some playfulness as well. So I just want to say, Kathleen, I appreciate you coming on this podcast so very much. I have had so much fun, and I feel like I've learned a lot from this interview. And I hope everyone who's tuning in has as well. And I want to ask Kathleen to tell our viewers and listeners how they can find out more about Friends of the Forest, how they can find out more about programs, get in touch with you if they'd like more info.
So thank you. This has been a joyful afternoon speaking with you. So our website probably has the most information, all our programs and upcoming schedules and our teachers. And so that's friendsoftheforestct.org. And then of course, social media is the same. That handle is Friends of the Forest CT. And I can be reached through either on all of those items. I will say we're getting ready to, put up some new classes coming up. Things fill up really quick. We limit to at the very most 12 women. We don't, want it to get too big, and we want to make sure everybody has a very special time at any one of our offerings. So if there is something that someone sees and it's open, I highly suggest getting that ticket, because things usually, are filled within 48 hours from when we're listing them. Or join our mailing list, because I often will release our new offerings to our mailing list first, and then we'll go out to social media. So thank you. And I love being here. And we have something coming up in we have something, you and I, with Friends of the Forest next week, I think, or the week after, and that's sold out. But I know you're doing something in February, a Goddess Circle as well. So that's not up yet. So that is something that people can look for. And then they get to meet you as well, and that's going to be those are always beautiful offerings too. So thank you.
It's beautiful to host them with you. And she's right. If you are interested in any of the Friends of the Forest groups, you need to jump pretty fast, because they sell out. I've seen it, folks. I've seen it. I want to thank Kathleen Lowe thank you so much, Kathleen, for coming on the podcast. It was an honor to have you. And I feel inspired to connect more with my natural environment and my local nature spirits, and feel more inspired to really slow down and listen to the Mother Earth, to listen to Mother Nature, to listen to the animals and the plants. And I encourage all of the folks tuning in, take a minute, slow down, listen to nature this week. Kathleen, thank you again so much for coming on the show. Everyone, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next group video or session. Take care.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you. Bye, Kathleen. Wasn't that a fun interview? And perfect timing for Taurus season. We are in the season of the earth, and I had a very earthy guest talking about nature and the earth. I love it. That interview was actually filmed a couple of months ago, and it's all perfect timing now. It was released just in time to be in harmony with the energies here on the earth. Speaking of the energies here on the earth, let me pull a few cards and tune into the energy of the week ahead. This is for the week of April 29th, 2024. Oopsies. We got a few cards jumping overboard. And whatever you're tuning in, if the messages resonate, they are meant for you, even if you're listening to this podcast not at the week that it was released. All right, so tuning into the week ahead, what do we need to know for the week ahead? I feel like it's a week of reconciliation, just tuning in without pulling cards yet. We're reconciling something, unifying something, bringing something together, maybe bringing something back together. We've got King of Swords and 10 of Cups for this week ahead. So for the tarot cards for this week ahead, I feel we're able to ground ourselves more. We're able to come up with more of a plan this week, and we're able to talk more clearly about our goals and figure out more plans to move forward. Mercury has moved direct, and there's forward moving motion this week cosmically. And I feel like with the 10 of Cups, we're grounding ourselves and moving ahead, but one step at a time. It's a Taurus slow pace, slow and steady pace. So there's new manifestations and the ability to reconnect with your heart, the ability to reconnect with other people's hearts, and find, for some people, there might be new love. It also feels like finding ways to work through the past and reconnect emotionally with those in your life, finding a way to let go of things from the past that may have been negative or destructive or hurtful. And this may be a reconnection with yourself, but there's a heart healing opportunity this week. And there's a way to reconstruct how we relate to others that's very positive, and kind of restructuring our relationships with others in a really positive way. Called is the Starseed Oracle. I pulled Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. Yes. So it's time to step up. Excuse me. I feel like this week we're able to see a portal opening. We're able to see a lot of potential for new designs, new worlds, getting in touch with a higher consciousness and grounding that on the earth plane. And we can see more potential abilities for how to bring that energy into our lives, into our social circles, into our business, into our day-to-day, into our relationships. So if you have ideas for how to expand something and bring in some divine higher consciousness, earth consciousness, cosmic consciousness, Christ consciousness, goddess consciousness, this is a great week to write those ideas down, work those into your plans. You can integrate this higher consciousness and a higher heart chakra, divine love awareness into your goals and dreams, your life, your relationships, your career. And so it is. We are multidimensional beings. We can integrate the other dimensions into this one. That's what it's all about, right? I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, my friend. This has been Ann Vivian on Integrative Mystic. And I look forward to seeing you next group video session. Check out my website, creativepsychestudio.com. That's Psyche. That's how you spell psyche. And you'll find out about my groups and services on that page. So thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week. I'll see you next show. Take care.